Hey guys, welcome to Lenin 8. So in this video, we are going to discuss another string program, that is a reverse of each word of a string which is given in the form of a sentence. For example, if the input is Java is platform independent, then the output is first word is Java, then Java has to be reversed. Then space, second word is, then is has to be reversed. Similarly, platform and also independent. One more thing, before Java, no space, and after independent also, there shouldn't be any space in the result or in the output. Let us understand how do we write the logic for this one. So for this, let me take a string of programmer choice. Here I'm going with an example of a string input, string yes equals to. I am taking in double quotes, no space at the starting, directly Java space is space simple. So this is the input which I am taking. Yeah. So once we have this string, then how do we get each word as reversed? So in that question itself, the answer is there. Like, is it possible to get each word first? Yes, it is possible. There is a method called a split method on which can be applied on string objects. So that is, if you use your string object yes dot a method called split, and however we want, we can split it. We can split by null, we can split by space, we can split by a character. But here our requirement is we need a word Java and we need a word is, we need a word simple. That's why. So how they were separated? They were separated by a space. So within these double quotes, a space key on your keyboard, then end of these double quotes, then semicolon. So this is how we can implement a split method. This split method will split by space, split by space. So what's the result of this split method is, it's a string array. So we have to catch it by using string array type with some programmer defined variable name ARR, for example. Yeah. So what is the result of this one is, all our string words will become array of a string as a first word in terms of string here, Java. Then the next word is, then the next word is simple. So all these are three string values now. So since array is of string type, then values also will be of string type. This is the step one. So for every array, the corresponding index positions will be there. Default index position to start with is 0. Then first index position, second index position. For this, Java is simple. Yeah. Once we have these words, is it possible to access this word? Yes, it is possible. By using array name ARR with the corresponding index number 0, we can access this and it will become JAVA as a word. Correct? Once we have this word, is it possible to reverse it? Yes, we already discussed the reverse of a string and also palindrome of a string. So I recommend you to watch that if anybody is having any doubts on this. So once we have this string, then we can access each character from reverse and we can append it to one empty string. So then it will become AVAJ. So once we revert the first word, what the next thing is? We have to add one space. So space character within double quotes a space key, and you can close this one. So for this, the end result will become AVAJ followed by a space. Then to this, by accessing the next word, that is index position 1, ARR of 1, and this will give the result of is as a string word. Again, we can apply the reverse of logic and we can add to the previous result. It means AVAJ space already there. Then is become SI. Then to this also, again we have to add a space. That's about second word. Then can we access third word? Yes, we can with the index number of 2. And the word is simple in terms of string. And we know how to make this simple as reverse. And once we get this reverse, so here AVAJ space SI space is already there. Then simple will become a reverse of this as ELPMIS. So after this, do we need to add space? No, that's not our expected output. at the last space, correct? So we should not add space at the last. So when we should not add, when we consider the last element of the array. So that is where we should not add the space. So this is the concept behind this one, and it is easy to write the code. Let us do this. So for this, we need one empty string to get the reverse of the string here. So first I am taking one string with the name as rev. It's an empty string, therefore only opening and closing of double quotes. No space here. Maybe it looks like space, but I'm not giving any space. For more clarity, let me write it. This is empty string. Then what is the next thing is the loop has to run to access each and every array element. So for that, we already know the for loop. So for int I equals to 0, because we have to start in the we have to consider the elements in the same order of 0 1 2, not in the reverse order. So first 0th element, then this is array, therefore length is a property or method. It's a property here. So arr dot length, by mistake if we are writing opening and closing parenthesis, then it is incorrect code. -1 to get the last index. Then for each iteration, I has to be incremented by 1, so I plus plus. So inside this for loop, yeah, let us take the next one. So here for every array element, that is for Java and for ease and for simple. So to find it reverse, we need one more empty string or not. So after we get this result, then to add this one, we need one string, empty string that I have taken reverse. But for each and every element here also, to get it reverse, we need one more empty string here. Correct? So for that, I am taking one more string. So let me name that variable as temp equals to another empty string here. Then followed by, if we access each and every array element, the result is of which type? I mean, it's a string type or it's an array element. It's a string element, right? That means if I take ARR of 0, 1, 2, that means ARR of I, then this results into a string. So I'm using some string with S2 because already S is there. So I'm using S2. So once we get this string, we have to do it reverse of this string, right? So for reverse of a string, so we already discussed for, then the loop has to start from the last character of the string, not last index number, last character of a string. That is from A, then V, then A and J. We have to append to an empty string. So for this, I am taking int J equals to, where J has to start from the last index portion of which is string, S2. So that's why S2 dot length method or property. S2 is of which type? String type. Therefore, it must be a method. So this is one simple point where we will be eliminated from most of the interviews. So please remember this correctly. So length -1 to start from last index number. So since we are starting from last, J has to be greater than or equal to 0. Then J should be decremented, J minus minus. What's the purpose of this for loop? This for loop is to get the reverse of each word. Then how do we get the reverse of each word? So S2 dot which method? Char at I, sorry, char at J. Then this character we have to add to what's our temporary string? Temp, sorry, this should be appended to temp, and the result has to be stored back to temp only. So this is the purpose of this for loop. Yeah. So it's caret J, it's not caret I. So remember this. Then followed by, once we get a reverse, what we have to do? To that reverse, we have to add one space, and that should be stored into our final expected result as reverse of this string. Then here one more interesting point. When we have to add this space, if the index number is 0, if the index number is 1, we have to add the spaces. But once it reaches to index number 2, we should not add space. Yeah, these index numbers are there in variable I. So it means I is less than the last index. That is less than 2 and less than 2. But if it is equals to 2, we should not add the space. That's the logic I am writing here. So if condition, if I value is less than, not equals to, if I was less than, what's array name? ARR dot length property minus 1. Then what we supposed to do? We have to add the temp result. We have to add this temp result to which? To the reverse, and along with what? A space also. Within double quotes, a space key, and then end of double quotes. This entire result has to be stored back to a reverse variable. That's the purpose of if. Correct? So once this is becomes equal, then what we have to do? We have to add that string, but without adding any extra space. That's why I'm using the else part for this one. And what's the else part for this is reverse equals to reverse plus only temp. There shouldn't be any space. Then finally, end of the outer for loop at this location. And to see the output, we have to print which variable? Print the reverse variable. So outside for loop, we have to write that logic. So for that, I am choosing the last line system.out.println. So print in which variable? So remember here, by mistake also we can't access this temp outside the for loop, but only available variable is reverse only. So here print of reverse to get our final output. I hope this is understood. Let us execute the same thing to Eclipse as well. So I'm back to Eclipse, and here I have taken a class name. So reverse of each word of string is class name with main methods. So now let us execute the same thing that we discussed. A string yes equals to, in double quotes, Java space is space simple. After this, no space. The next thing, we can apply a split method on string object. So s dot split is a method, and here the regular expression which is asking. So within double quotes, a space, because we want to split by space. That's how we get the words of this one. Then what's the result of this one? It's a string array. You can see from the Eclipse IntelliSense, and a string some array name ARR equals to. Yeah. Next, we need one empty string to get the final result. So that I am using as a variable name reverse. It's an empty string, no space between. Then followed by for loop to iterate each and every element of the string array. That is int I equals to 0 to start with. Then I should be less than or equals to ARR dot length is a property on this array, then I plus plus. So inside this for loop, first we have to access the array element, and also we have to declare one more empty string for the reverse of each word. So for that, let me take one string. The name is temp equals to empty string. Then followed by, I am taking one string variable of s2 equals to the corresponding arrays element called ARR of I. So once we get this s2, which is a string as a word, then we have to reverse that. So for that, a for loop and int j equals to, j has to start from s2 dot length property. IntelliSense is giving us support to understand where is a on arrays length is property, on strings length is method, but when we are writing handwritten code, we have to be careful. The next, j is supposed to be greater than or equals to 0, and then j has to be decremented, so j minus minus. So it's only one line of code for this loop. What's the purpose of this loop? Access each character of that string s2. So by using caret method, And here we should use I or J. Should use J, not I. Then this each character has to be added to a temporary empty string called a temp variable. Then append using plus. Result has to be stored back to again temp only. So this is the purpose of this inner loop. So once this looping is done, it means one word is reversed, then we have to check a condition. So what is the condition? If I value is less than, not equals to ARR dot length minus 1. That is, it should be 0 and it should be 1. It should not be equals to length minus 1. So if that is the situation, what we supposed to do? To the empty string called reverts, what we have to add? We have to add this temp in which a word reverse is there, and also we have to append one space in terms of string here. Then this enter result has to be stored back to a reverse as a variable. So once it is not, I mean, if the if condition is false, then there's a situation where I value will be reaches to 2. So in this example, that means last index number as a generic logic. Then the same thing, reverse equals to reverse plus temp. This time should we add space? No, not required. Then out of end of the outer for loop. Then here I am using a print statement system.out.println to print the result. Can we access temp here? No, it will throw error because temp is declared inside a for loop. A variable which is declared inside a loop body is not possible to access from the outside. Okay. Then what's the correct variable? Reverts. So let me save and let us execute this program. So for this input called Java is simple, what's output? AVAJ, then SI, then symbol also to be reversed. So we can see this output, and let us cross verify whether our logic is generic or not. So this is a 3-letter word. Now I am making as the input of a 4-letter word like it is there in our slide. So which is nothing but Java space is space platform independent. So this is the input. Let me save this code and execute from here. You can see this Java is platform independent. Yeah. So this is the generic logic. I hope you understood. And for more videos, please use comment section to post your questions. And thank you and see you in the next video.